A lot of us remember when President Barack Obama said that Trayvon Martin could have been his son. And we look at the outcome from his Attorney General, Eric Holder, who says that he's not going to pursue any federal civil rights charges against George Zimmerman. And we go back to his words. I have to wonder if Trayvon Martin could have been Barack Obama's son, would he be pleased with this outcome? Or if Sasha Omalia were the victim of a George Zimmerman, would he still be pleased with this outcome? When it comes down to Barack Obama, you know, and his administration regarding the issue of race, he comes across as clearly disingenuous and in my opinion, dishonest. Because to say that Trayvon Martin could have been his son, I doubt he would be pleased with this outcome. Because if Sasha Malia were targeted by what as I see it, a sociopath like George Zimmerman, he would bring the full weight of the FBI down on Mr. Zimmerman, not allow him to roam free and continue, on the way he has. When I look at the Obama administration's issue regarding race, it clearly shows me, how hypocritical and how dishonest it is. I mean, in the case of Michael Brown and Darren Wilson, again, DOJ takes no action. And I sadly believe that in the case of Eric Garner and Officer Pantaleo, again, we're not going to see any action, you know, from the Obama administration. And it clearly shows me, even with a black president in the White House, the power of white supremacy on black people. Because again, as I've always believed, for black people, they believe in white supremacy more than God or Jesus himself. In their eyes, the white man is a god, and everything he says is truth and power. And when we look at the case of Trayvon Martin, it clearly shows you who black lives don't matter to. It's not that black lives matter to white people. The big problem is black lives don't matter to black people, which is why this outcome, is the way it is. And people are just, and I know what black people are going to do, in the aftermath of all of this, is they're going to go back to being what they used to do after, cases like Emmett Till and other cases. They're going to go back and go shopping because, tax time is coming up. And everybody's getting their IRS tax refund checks, and they're going to go shopping for their Air Jordans, rims, their tires, their 50-inch big screen TVs, and they're going to act like, this never happened. This is the vicious cycle of race in America and how dysfunctional this country is. Because whenever a black person gets killed, people march, they protest, and they play this little game, but they never take any constructive actions. They go around, with these civil rights activists going back and forth, but they never get what they want because, again, they never set any goals. They never set a direction for what they want to do. And I look at, how Barack Obama pulled a fast one on the black community, and the black community is just going to sit there and they're going to take it. They're going to take their $5,000 tax refund that they're going to get. They're going to get their $1,000 tax refund, their $2,000 tax refund, and they're going to go out shopping with the very same racists who disrespect them and profile them and degrade them instead of really taking a stand. I mean, again, this is the only way to show real power is through economic power, and black people just they don't get this. They still are following a 1960s playbook in 2015 and then wondering why they're not getting any results. It's the equivalent of, following a all sugar diet plan and then wondering why you don't lose weight. But you can't explain things to black people. They still think they can do things. But what the scariest part of this whole Trayvon Martin thing is that, you know, George Zimmerman is still roaming free. This man, again, has been arrested 6 times for domestic violence and assaults. And clearly, as I see it, this man is a sociopath. And it's going to be a major embarrassment to this country when he commits another murder of another person. And I think the only way America is going to really wake up about, George Zimmerman and see how dangerous he is if he kills a white woman or if he kills a white man, and then they'll realize, how big a mistake they made. Now you can talk about how Trayvon Martin was a thug and all this stuff. I really don't see that as bearing any evidence, in his murder. I mean, yeah, he was rebellious like any other teenager, but this man who was supposed to be a so-called neighborhood watch. Now I know about neighborhood watch. Is supposed to observe and report. You're never supposed to engage because you do not know if this person is armed or if they're carrying a weapon, and you leave them to law enforcement. I mean, if his job was to just call 911, and it's been proven that, this man, he clearly has some sort of mental disorder based on what I've researched on him. A guy who drives in to stop a shoplifter. He gets in a car and he drives like a maniac to stop a shoplifter when security in the lot would have plenty of cameras, to catch the license plate, catch the description, and to call the police. And then he also lost a job as a security guard, also for using excessive force. And you know, his pattern of behavior clearly shows me, how dangerous George Zimmerman truly is. And then we look at his histories of domestic violence, his histories of running in with complete strangers. This man is a clear and present danger. But, most Americans got caught up in the smokescreen of race that they could not see the clear and present danger Mr. Zimmerman was and still currently is. I look at him in the same mold of predators such as here in New York, Michael Miel. He had a rich father who was a transit authority executive. He kept bailing him out every time he kept getting into trouble. I mean, Mr. Miel was a sexual deviant. He would expose himself. He would commit sexual assaults against women. And his father would just bail him out. He would get him another job someplace. He would move him to another apartment. And this is the same pattern that George Zimmerman has with his behavior. That his father just keeps bailing him out and getting him out of jams until just like Michael, like in the case of Michael Miel, what happened with Mr. Miel is he killed Laura Garza, white woman who came here from Texas. People started wondering what happened to her, and where she was missing because she wound up missing. He wound up killing her and hiding her body in the woods. They have not found her body to this day. And he confessed to the murder of this woman. And then they finally put this sociopath in prison. Um, I fear that this same scenario is going to have to happen in the case of George Zimmerman for America to really wake up and see what they have done. People think that, Trayvon Martin is just another nigger, but you don't understand. When you allow a sociopath to roam free, they're eventually coming to your town. And a guy like George Zimmerman is eventually going to come to your town. Same thing with Darren Wilson. I look at the Michael Brown case, another fumbled football from Eric Holder. And, yeah, ABC News paid this man $500,000 and somebody else paid him $500,000. So this man's a millionaire, basically for killing a black man. So I look at both of these cases, and it clearly shows me, again, the disingenuousness of the Obama administration and how little Barack Obama cares about black people. Again, the very same black people who elevated this man, you know, to the presidency and made every effort to support him, and he literally has his attorney general just slap them in the face when it comes to issues of race. And when you look at the policies of the Obama administration, over the last 6 or 7 years, he has done nothing for black people. He has done things for gays. He has done things for immigrants. He has done everything for white women. But he has done nothing for black people, especially black men. I mean, people talk about, the mandatory minimums are over and all this stuff, but that has not really affected black people in the least. I mean, the Obama administration, for all of the effort, all of the support that, black people all over the world gave it, has not gotten anything because, again, I look at the black community, and that's partially our own fault because we didn't come to Barack Obama with a platform, to deal with the issues of race, to deal with the issues of discrimination. We did not set a platform. We just gave, you know, unconditional support without demanding, you know, something in return for it. And this is a big problem with black people and the Democratic Party overall, is that we do not demand anything for our vote. We just give people our vote, and we don't demand anything of it. Hispanics have always demanded something for their vote. Asians have demanded something for their vote. Even Arabs demand something for their vote. That's why nobody messes with them. I mean, even I look at, all the stuff going on with these ISIL militants in the Middle East and even over here, and you don't see the, people profiling them and harassing them, and there's a reason why that is. Because those Middle Eastern countries control a lot of oil, they control a lot of financial resources, they control a lot of business resources here in America. And nobody in the government wants to alienate those people because they have economic power. I mean, people remember the 1970s, um, when the U.S. tried to call itself flexing on the Middle East, OPEC, demanding more oil. So they just put an embargo on the country that pretty much crippled it for a couple of months, I think. And since then, no one wants to mess with the Middle East. Even with 9/11, terrorists blew up the World Trade Center here in New York, and they didn't approach them in the same way that they approached black people. Because again, there were economic and financial repercussions that came with dealing with those countries. We don't present those type of repercussions with the black community. We don't use our economic power. Again, what we're going to do in the aftermath of this is what the same thing we've done for the last 45, 50 years, is that black people are going to continue to go shopping. They're going to continue to take their $3.3 trillion in spending power, and they're going to go out here and take their tax refunds, and they're going to go out here buying rims, tires, Air Jordan sneakers, leather jackets, and they're going to get ready for the summertime simping and tricking that most of these black men, usually get themselves involved with. And then these women are just going to go out here and buy more hair weaves, get their nails done, you know, and prepare to go to more funerals. This is what they're going to do. And sadly, nobody's going to be held accountable for the deaths of, guys like Trayvon Martin, or Michael Brown, or even Eric Garner. I don't see anything being done. All I see is, because everybody knows black people, everybody knows black people's approach to everything. Excuse me. And our approach is, make a lot of noise, but never have a plan. Never set a goal, never set a direction for where you want to go or what you want to do. You're just outraged for the sake of being outraged. I mean, but you're not outraged with any sense of, again, a goal or a direction of what you want to do or what you want to get from people. And the only way to get things in America, really, is with an economic plan. And a lot of black people, again, we don't want to participate in any group economics. We don't want to support any sort of black owned business because, black people, our big problem is we don't like other black people. We don't even like ourselves. And this is a big problem. This is the real core of the problem. Again, this all goes back to, why black lives don't matter. Because, again, black lives don't matter not to white people, but they don't matter to black people. And they only have value if they are related to another white person. Again, this is the cognitive distortion that keeps black America from growing and moving forward, is that black people are still continuing to remain codependent on white supremacy and the white supremacist system, and not thinking about doing things on their own and looking for self-approval from other black people and looking, inward. They're always looking for approval from white people and looking for acceptance from white people. And this whole, Department of Justice is, again, Eric Holder looking for approval from white people and Barack Obama looking for approval from white people. I mean, because if this was Sasha and Malil, I guarantee you it would be a different story. If Trayvon Martin was really like Barack Obama's son, he would be taking a different course of action. But, people look at black people and they understand, how codependent people are. Codependent people, they make a lot of noise. You give them a little, throw a few crumbs at them, and then they go right back to being dependent. And this is the vicious cycle that black people have because, again, they don't understand how things work. They're still trying to, seek acceptance from an abuser instead of trying to seek empowerment from themselves. They have not come to that conclusion about things. But what's really sad is that you have George Zimmerman still roaming free, still wreaking havoc. I mean, for all the talk of Trayvon Martin being a thug, we look at George Zimmerman. He has an arrest record that is on par with most thugs. We look at, your Darren Wilson, also thoroughly dysfunctional. And we also look at, your officer Pantaleo, who has two federal civil rights lawsuits. And, it looks like he's going to get a pass on this Eric Garner thing based on what I've seen because, I look at Attorney General Eric Holder, and he's really one of the most ineffective attorney generals in the history of the United States. I mean, he has pretty much shown how weak he is, and he doesn't even understand how he's shown the world, how weak the United States is. Because in this case, you're showing people that you're not serious when it comes to issues of race in America. The rest of the world looks at the United States and says, "You look weak. The United States looks weak." I mean, if you can't deal with lawless people who violate black people's civil rights, then I guess it's okay for everybody else to come here and violate your civil rights. And I look at black people, and we really need a change in leadership. I mean, we really need somebody to take a look at this and say, look, the leaders we have, your Al Sharptons and all of these other guys, their approaches don't work. This is like the New York Jets. I mean, I look at the New York Jets. Rex Ryan had a horrible season. New York Jets, the ownership, Woody Johnson fired him. And I believe that in the wake of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and Eric Garner, it's time for the black community to fire our Al Sharptons and the NAACPs, black fraternities and sororities, every last black leadership organization. It's time for us to fire them. They have failed us. They are ineffective. They're not doing their jobs. And when someone cannot meet the standard in a workplace, you let them go. And it's time for the black community to let its leadership go and put on some new leadership and set a course for the 21st century. It's time for us, to set a direction for where we want to go as black people in the 21st century. And I look at the black community, and we really need to start focusing on economic issues because economic power is the only way to political power in America. And it's the only way to stop people because when you start showing your economic power, it stops racial profiling, it stops harassment, it stops, all the games because they don't play these games in the Hispanic community. They don't play these games in the Arab community. They don't profile Arabs. They don't profile Hispanics. They don't profile Asians. They don't kill Asians. They don't kill Hispanics. They don't kill Arabs. They don't even kill Africans because there's repercussions that come with that, and they're all based on economics. And the reason why because those places where those people come from, there's always a consequence for it. If you wind up killing an Arab guy, I guarantee you, one of these officers were to do that, those countries, Middle East, there would be some pressure. If one of these Hispanic people get killed and they're high end, there's going to be some pressure. I mean, the Hispanic community is going to start leaning on people, and it's going to be felt. And same thing with the Asian community, it's going to get felt, and they're going to start leaning on high politicians because they control. Again, these countries control a lot of resources that come into America and go out of America. And with America being a business, they don't want to alienate business partners. And so they're going to make sure that whoever violates the rights of their people, they're going to deal with them. Because I look at, this whole situation with Trayvon Martin. Um, it's really saddening, and it shows you how little, Black Lives Matter to your black president. And how, for all of his speechifying and pontificating, he really he really doesn't understand how deeply he dropped the ball. Now, I saw how little he was concerned, with the American people, back in 2009 when it was time to sign an unemployment benefits extension. Instead of putting his foot down and being a leader and saying nobody's leaving until this benefits extension is passed, he let Congress go have a 2-week vacation. And while people like myself were still trying to make do with our savings, Congress had a vacation. This was all Democratic Congress, all Democratic president, but he held no one accountable. Just like he's holding no one accountable in the case of George Zimmerman. And this is where I saw part of what was wrong with Barack Obama. And, this is where I never voted for the guy in 2008 or 2012. And after seeing what he did, with the unemployment 2009, I realized that was the right decision because it truly showed that he didn't care about the American people. He just let policy run things instead of running things and being the leader. And what was happening is, the government is running him. He's not running the government, and that's been the whole benchmark of his administration. Is that he follows the policies of everybody else and does not set out to make his own road. And for all of his quest for a legacy, that's why he passed Obamacare, the health care, the Affordable Care Act. His true legacy is being shown in how his attorney general handled Trayvon Martin, um, Michael Brown, and how he's going to handle Eric Garner. And this is going to be his legacy to the world, that he shows that, it doesn't matter if the president is black, a black life doesn't matter to a black president. And and he's doing the same thing that David Dinkins did. Here in New York, we had this mayor, David Dinkins, the first black mayor, and he did nothing for black people. He allowed the homicide rate in New York City to go escalate up into the 2000s. We had 2,200 murders at the height of his administration, and the only reason why he took action to stop the murders here in New York due to the crack epidemic was because a white man, Brian Watkins, was murdered on the train, and that's the only reason why he took action. Otherwise, black lives didn't matter to him, just like they don't matter to Barack Obama. Both pretty much let black people die, in the streets. Many of these murders here in New York are still unsolved 25, 26, 27 years later. And here's what, and they're all due to a black mayor who said that, he wanted support from the black community. And when he got support from the black community, he abandoned it. It was only when a white person died that he took action. And I look at, how this is handled. Again, Barack Obama was supposed to, this Trayvon Martin was supposed to, if it was supposed to be his son, I doubt he would let his son get no justice like this. I doubt he would accept this if he were the president of the United States. If it was the son of the president of the United States who had been through this, it would be a different story. And it clearly shows me again his hypocrisy and why this black president is just like our first black mayor in New York. You know, he's black, but he isn't for black people. And that's what the lesson that I think black people are going to have to learn, from this whole Trayvon Martin thing and from this Michael Brown is that we have to be careful about who we put our support in and who we put our trust in. It's not about supporting a black person, it's about supporting a black person who supports black causes. And that is something, again, the lesson that I think black people need to take from the whole Trayvon Martin situation. Department of Justice doing absolutely nothing to give black people so-called justice. And another thing we have to learn is to set a realistic goals. Not just marching around talking about justice. We need to set goals, and real goals, and really go after this. Because I really also think that in the Trayvon Martin case, prosecution really didn't do a job. Because doing my own research, I would have gone after Zimmerman on mental health, and that would have pretty much put this man away. The same way we put Michael Miel away. And there was a Jewish guy who kidnapped an 8-year-old boy and chopped him up here in New York. They went after his mental health as well. And I believe that if the prosecutor had gone after Zimmerman's mental health, the man would be in jail right now. Instead of, stalking the streets, wreaking havoc, and starting with whoever runs into him. Because the danger I look at with this whole case of Trayvon Martin, overall, is that this man is still out here and he's coming to your town. Or he can come to your town, and heaven help whoever runs into him, black, white, whatever color they are, because this man is a predator. He is dangerous, and people don't think that what happened to Trayvon Martin can't happen to them. And that's what the scary part is, because most Americans, they are in denial about, race, and they're in denial about racism, and they're in denial about white supremacy being the official religion of America. They're in denial about all of these things I discussed. And, I think something like George Zimmerman killing a white person is the only thing that's going to make them wake up and see. Even then, some of them still won't see it. How they fumbled the ball in this case, and, how their racism pretty much let a killer go free and put themselves in complete danger. I've been talking about this for a while. I wrote several blogs about it, but I felt like making a video about it because I look at, the whole Trayvon Martin case, and it's a game changer, just like Emmett Till was a game changer. But the big problem is, black people didn't show that their lives matter by taking constructive action. And even with black leadership in the White House, we still couldn't get anything done because, again, we didn't understand, how economic power and political power correlate with each other, and how both are used to protect, black interests in the black community. And this is why I again say we need new black leadership, because new black leadership, we need some new blood that will may set a new direction, a new set of goals, and something, and set goals that will help, build the black community for the 21st century. Because the way we're going right now, everything is regressing instead of progressing. We're not moving forward. And it clearly shows, with the Obama administration's leadership, that even with a black person in the White House, nothing's getting done because our leaders are disconnected from the issues in the black community. They're disconnected from black people, and they're disconnected from taking care of the needs of the black community. They're more interested in appeasing white people and making white people happy than taking care of the black people who supported them and elevated them to these positions of power. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.